Hello, and welcome to the webinar for our 2021 Master of Philanthropy and Nonprofit Leadership Capstone project. My name is Sherlyn Assam, and with my project partner, Bridget Bygrave, we are pleased to present to you Black Youth Thriving Towards a Participatory Grant-Making Pilot for Ontario. Over the past 4 months, we have worked in partnership with the Foundation for Black Communities. Through consultation with the FFBC working group members and their colleagues in the philanthropic sector, peer-reviewed research, foundation reports, and nonprofit professional blogs, we have developed a framework for participatory grant-making in the shape of a pilot program.
Today, we'll present a summary of our project through our Community Foundation's organisational background, the scope of our project, and our research objectives. This will be followed by our findings, expanding on participatory grant-making, and how we strategised a framework from our research. We'll conclude with the strategic recommendations we're proposing to FFBC. So let's begin. FFBC is dedicated to Black Canadians and Black communities having agencies in their future. In August 2021, FFBC drafted For Us, By Us, Insights into Community-Led Grant-Making. It's a report exploring community-led and participatory grant-making. It aims to provide Canada's philanthropic sector with the tools to expand their grant-making practices and support the capacity building and self-determination of Black and other marginalised communities. As such, FFBC is partnering with the Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment Foundation, which improves youth lives through the power of sport and recreation. Together, they're launching their first participatory grant-making programme in March 2022, focusing on Black youth wellness through recreation. That's where we come in.
So what exactly is participatory grant-making? Well, it's a model of grant-making that entrusts the community receiving philanthropic funds with the decision-making power as grant makers. It emerged from an increasing demand for more accountability, transparency, and collaboration around grant-making and philanthropic activities. Participatory grant-making is about shifting power from foundations to the communities they seek to serve. It invites community members to set priorities, develop strategies, conduct research, and participate in choosing among the organizations who make proposals to serve their communities. It carves a space for community voices to dictate where funds go, so they are involved in the empowerment of their communities, resources, and capacities. This research project aims to support the selection, design, and implementation of a participatory grant-making model for the FFBC MLSE Participatory Grant-Making Pilot. It supports FFBC's emphasis on participatory grant-making for trust-based and transformative philanthropy to address the well-being of Black youth in Ontario.
Participatory grant-making can be practiced using a number of different models with different strategies and processes. Our project focuses on geographic committees, closed collectives, and rolling collectives. This brings us to our findings. The first model we'll be talking about is geographical committees. A geographic committee is a formalised decision-making forum with an international, national, provincial, municipal, or regional scope designed to achieve balanced geographic representation. The primary purpose of such a committee is to enable decision-making across a defined geographical area, achieved through the direct participation of representatives. This can be challenging to achieve. For example, Ontario is home to 52.4% of Canada's Black population, the most in the country, of which more than half are immigrants. Those are vastly different perspectives and community needs, not to mention the 150 different countries that population represents. Most notably, Nigeria, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Somalia, and Ethiopia.
On to closed collectives. This model uses a group of organizations to decide how to distribute funds. They are connected by a charitable mission like mental health, food banks, youth, etc., and share expertise in the area and serve the same community, so they are mutually accountable to addressing their needs. We see this as a promising model for more rural areas. This model is especially helpful in smaller municipalities and communities because it involves distribution through consensus. Closed collective models are positioned to understand the context and ecosystem they operate in and hopefully reduce competition between organizations. On the other hand, the rolling collective model is about giving and receiving on an ongoing basis. The community members are all familiarized with the learning, planning, and implementation of PGM, participatory grant making, to vote on who receives grants through the foundation's facilitation. They assess organizations, deliberate, and vote on who receives funding, and when funds become available once again, the organization who received funds in the previous round will decide who gets funding in the next. We found this model maybe do well when a foundation may be in an unfamiliar setting or starting with little to no community networks. It presents an opportune time to learn more about the community through observing the community organizations amongst themselves, identifying issues and best practices for greater impact in the future.
As we got deeper into our research into participatory grant making to develop the pilot, our intentions with the framework became more and more flexible. From foundations varying in size, capacity and funds to community members varying in availability, cohesion, accessibility and more, it became increasingly clear there was not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Thus, we determined that the pilot should begin with the groundwork of a geographical committee to establish itself within the communities they seek to help, where community sharing is ingrained through geographic representation. From there, our pilot provides the design and implementation steps for closed and rolling collectives for foundation facilitators to choose from, based on the context of the types of organizations involved, the strengths of the partnership, community assets, and the operational, ongoing, or seasonal funding available.
Which brings us to our strategic recommendations. The first is that FFBC adopts committees with geographic representation, initially establishing a province-wide committee to support initiation and development of the pilot across Ontario, and subsequently establishing committees with geographic representation within the regions. The intention is to develop and build capacity in the Black community, Black-led, Black-serving and Black-focused organisations within regional areas to test alternative participatory models such as rolling collectives and closed collectives. This work will include defining the pilot's aims, parameters and priorities, and developing guidance and criteria.
The second recommendation is providing staffing, facilitators, and resources to each area and committee. Providing facilitators for Foundation for Black Communities, establishment of the committees initially, and then in the collectives in the future, will help embed the development of participatory culture, participatory grant making, and participatory values throughout organizational decision-making. We also recommend to establish a database of consultants for anti-racist and diversity, equity, and inclusion training for foundations to commit staff to informed participatory grant-making facilitation. This way, we will ensure there will not be undue harm in the facilitation process with these marginalized communities. The same way community members are trained to fulfill their jobs as grant makers now, foundation staff must also understand the position of their privilege, check their biases, and lead from a place of as much understanding as possible to effectively do their jobs. Making sure this community participation is not tokenistic or exploitative is key to earning trust and fully sharing power.
Third recommendation is that FFBC advertises the pilot through a series of provincial and regional engagement events to inform, engage and promote the varied opportunities and explain how to become involved. This will develop a familiar and trusting presence in communities rather than starting with a fresh partnership with unfamiliar characters and unknown motives. This will also support FFBC to recruit members and establish committees across the province. Also, that FFBC develops terms of reference for the committees, positioning these as a platform for the development of participatory grant making in each area, and using the key elements of the framework set out in the report, such as inclusionary practices for individual and community member panel practices.
With that, we want to thank you for taking the time to learn about participatory grant making through our research. We also want to thank the Foundation for Black Communities for offering their time, experience, and insight to aid the development of this project. We hope our contribution will be formative in the pilot launch and a useful resource for other organizations seeking more community-centered and participatory approaches to philanthropy. Thank you.